I mean I read the script for bonus track and I just thought with the way that our society is set up right now, what everyone kind of needs. And I think the space that was missing was a feel-good queer rom-com. So when I read the script, talked with the team, saw the vision, it was just an immediate yes. And I'm so thankful to be a part of it.
How important was it for you, the innocence of the characters, to make the story to to make a story more accomplished? You know,
Mm.
it's a
Yeah,
very
I mean,
innocent. Yeah,
it was like such a great experience, and I feel like whenever I've had the chance to go back and play school kids, it can be quite healing, especially because Max, who I play, was really cool and suave and like put together. It definitely gave me the feeling like I was back in school, and when we were shooting, I felt like I could be the cool kid that I never actually was growing up. Um, so it was really important for me as well as an actor, that I produced something that the audience are going to see and feel happy with and proud of, and for the queer community that they feel proud watching it.
do you think it's complicated? Well, there are two kids, they're in love, but do you think coming out of the closet, they go through difficulties, or
Mm. Yeah, of course. I mean, both characters are going through different but similar things that I think a lot of school kids go through, and the way that we rehearsed it, especially like when we were in the early days of rehearsals and we talked about their relationship and how that gets formed and how it like progresses. We didn't look at it so much as a romantic thing. We didn't want to put too much pressure on the romance. We just wanted it to feel like two best friends falling in love, which can happen to anyone at any point in time, whether you're 16 like the characters are or 60, it can happen. So we just really wanted to treat that kind of relationship with care. But of course, these characters have stakes. They have problems that are going on in their lives. They're at that point in time. It feels like the most important period of your life with uh, taking your exams at school and making these decisions about who you are going to be as an adult. And we wanted that to feel real, and we wanted like the audience that could see this to feel seen and that it's normal to feel these kind of things.
yeah, at what level did you identify with Max? And how difficult was it for you to find Max within yourself?
Um, there were a lot of elements that I had to focus on when I was like creating Max. Because as much as I've got to create him and the character, I feel like that came quite easy.
Yeah.
Because I could just recall on people that I knew growing up at school. But then when you have to factor in the fact that he's come from a ultra famous family and both his parents are mega stars, I then had to think about this was probably the main challenge. How do I play that part of it without coming across as arrogant and up himself, and like because that's the last thing that I really wanted to do. I just wanted him to be likable because the audience has to like him. But I mean, as cool as my parents are, they aren't mega famous stars. So I had to draw on a lot of experiences and things that I've grown up seeing because I went to full-time theatre school and there were a couple of people in my year who had famous parents. And you just got to draw upon those personal experiences. But I would say that that element of Max was the hardest to find.
Do you think there are enough, or yeah, do you think there are enough sympathetic movies about coming of age and discovering some feelings for, like LGBTQ tributes within stories?
Mm. Of course, well, I mean, like there's so many amazing examples of it. Like Heartstopper is just fantastic, and because that was the last thing we wanted to do was to create a film that shows being queer or LGBTQIA plus as a negative. We wanted it to feel just like any other heteronormative love story. Um, and I feel like there is a massive space for that. I think that a lot of queer films that you may watch are so deep rooted in trauma, and there's a space for that. Of course there is, and those stories need to be told. But it just felt nice going into something that was fun and sweet, and the characters ride off into the sunset together.
Why do you think Max and George become such a good friends? Because in a way they come from different worlds in
Mm,
right? I think different
of
background.
course. Yeah, and I think that's what draws them together, is the fact that they're so different. I feel like when I was approaching it, it felt like George was someone that Max had never encountered before. He'd never encountered a person like him. He's soft, he's gentle, he's kind, he's naive at points, he's sweet. And when Max had grown up surrounded by people that are the complete opposite of that, the way that we talked about our relationship was that it was just like a breath of fresh air. And it starts off from Max's point of view as intrigue, and then it grows into more of a caring, I'm going to take him under my wing, and then ultimately leads to romantic. Um, and that was like such a fun journey to take, because Joe Anders playing George was such a fab actor and is such a fab actor and an awesome guy. It especially when we were shooting a lot of the earlier scenes where we weren't in love yet. Julia, the director, had to remind me a lot of the time, calm down. You're not in love with him yet. It's got to sizzle. It's got to grow. And it was just a fun process to create that bond.
When it comes to acting, what is it that you appreciate about acting? You started very young, right? And how do you see your future?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I started very young, and I've always had an immense love for performing. And I think for me, where I find the pleasure is sitting in a cinema, like when we premiered this film at London Film Festival, being able to sit in this cinema completely anonymous and to just hear all the reactions around me, knowing that these audience members are going to take something away from that. It's just amazing. And like the fact that I am blessed with the ability to perform and give people from all around the world pleasure. It's an amazing feeling. And I mean, I don't know, who knows what the future holds. I'd love to keep performing for as long as I can. And I'd love to keep doing challenging stuff. That's what excites me, is a challenge. Um, and yeah, we'll see what comes up this year.
So, Samuel, the story happens in a very free environment. How
Mm.
realistic was the high school environment? Like the teachers, the bullying, and all that.
Yeah, well, I mean, as everyone knows, British schools and like school kids can be pretty ruthless, because the British humor is very cutthroat and sarcastic, and I mean, it is definitely something that I encountered growing up when I was at state school. Is there's definitely a hierarchy of cool people, and it's all surrounded in like it's all split up into little cliques. Um, and I mean, the people that were playing the like bully kind of characters were the sweetest human beings in the world. So it was just completely so much fun to slip back into that and experience that playful joking around. Because like I was talking about this the other day. When Max joins the school, there's this complete like standstill. Everyone's in complete awe of him. But then the next time we see him at school is completely worn off, because that's how it is in British schools. It's, wow, you're so cool for one day, and then the next day you're just another one of the bunch. And I thought that
Yeah.
that was encapsulated lovely.
There's a lot of cruelty growing up, don't you think?
Mm,
When we're teenagers, don't you think that cruelty is too present?
mm. Yeah, it is. I mean, of course, as much as we're joking around talking about how it was funny, uh, growing up is difficult. It's hard. Like being in a school environment, surrounded by your peers for 6 hours, 5 days a week. There's people that you're surrounded by all the time. There's so much cruelty, which needs to stop. But I mean, because it can stick with you for the rest of your life. But yeah, it was nice that we kind of touched upon that.